Hi, this is Joan, and this is the temperature Afghan that I've been working on. This is only 10 months worth of it. I'm doing it for an entire year, but I wanted to get this video done so that anybody that would like to do one can start planning for next year and do a little practicing so that they are ready to start on January 1st. The idea is to do one row a day based on the high temperature of the town that you want to do the Afghan for. So I'm doing it for Yakima, Washington, and I broke up my colors into 10-degree increments. The purple that I started with at the beginning of January, the highs were in the 20s. Then this next color, the dark aqua, it was in the 30s. The lighter color aqua is in the 40s. The light green is in the 50s. This medium green is in the 60s. The yellow is the 70s. The orange is the 80s. I've got some red here that's the 90s, and the really dark burgundy is the 100s. So one row a day, and I used the same source every day, so it's not bouncing around. I used our local newspaper to determine what the temperature was for the day. I'm using a crochet hook that is a 5.5 millimeter, and it's also called a USI 9, so that's the size I'm using. And the yarn that I'm using is 7 ounce. The size that I'm getting here, this is a queen size bed, and my Afghan is approximately 7.5 feet wide, and that took me about 310 stitches to get it that wide. It's going to vary depending on how loose or tightly you crochet, but that's what I've got going. So 310 single crochets to get about 7.5 feet wide. I honestly can't tell you how much yarn it took because I started with some yarn I already owned. I already owned the greens here, and I had some red here, and I had some yellow here. So I already owned some from previous projects. And then what I do is I buy each skein one at a time as I need it. And that way I can use a coupon every single time I go to the store. I've been getting mine at Hobby Lobby, and you can always get a 40% off coupon online to use. So every single skein I've purchased has been 40% off. So to get this pattern that I'm doing here, I use single crochets and triple crochets. It's really pretty basic. So I've got, starting right here, I've got 10 single crochets going across, and then a triple, and then I'm going to do 10 single crochets across. So I'm already partway across. Once you have the pattern going, you don't even have to count anymore, because you can just tell by what's coming up. So here's a triple crochet. I'm going to want to do a triple crochet just ahead of it. So in this space right here, I still need a single. And then here I'm going to do a triple, and I'm going to count down. So the green row is 1, the yellow is 2, and the orange is the 3rd. So I'm going to put my stitch in the 3rd row down. So I go around my crochet hook twice. I go into that 3rd row, pull it through, then I'm going to hook, pull through 2, and hook, pull through 2, and hook, and pull through 2. And then I'm going to anchor it on top of the triple crochet going into the back of it with a single. And then I'll just keep going across. So 9 more singles to make it 10, and then another triple. So that's how that pattern is made. To start a row, you need to make a loop in your yarn. And so what I'm doing here is I'm just going to reach through and create a little loop like that. And then you put it on your hook and pull it tight. So I'm starting with that. And then I'm going to find the spot to start. And it looks like I'm supposed to start right there, but it's actually this little loop hiding back here that I'm going to start in. And then what I'm going to do is pull the yarn through both of those. And that's my first bit to hold the end. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this floppy piece behind, and I'm going to weave it in as I go so I don't have to thread it in later, because I hate having to do that. So now my first stitch is going to be a single crochet right here in this one, and I go in the back of the stitch. I'm going to go back and do a single crochet, and then the same thing next to it. And you can see how I'm, oops, it's hard to do while I'm filming at the same time. And I'm going to just work that across. So that's how you get started on each row. To finish the row, I'm going to do the same thing I did at the beginning, and I'm going to tuck the leftover from the previous row behind. Let me see if I can get it tucked in back there. So I'm just going to kind of lay it on top, and then I'm going to continue doing my single crochets, and I'm going to just weave that in there, and that way I don't have to try to stitch it in later. So I'm coming up on my triple here. I'm sorry if this all looks really clumsy and awkward. It's just hard with the camera in my way between me and my project. And I gotta get all the way to the end. You want to kind of, it takes a little practice to keep the end even. You have to count how many you're doing. And the way I do it here is this is the row I'm on, and so I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other stitches. If I was going to do this again, I would do 2 between here and the end, but the pattern I have going, I only have 1 stitch after the last triple crochet. So like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I come up here and I count. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I haven't done my 6th, so I need to do 1 more stitch. And then to tie it off, I need to cut. Let me grab my scissors. So snip it off, and then all I'm going to do is just pull the thread through and gently tighten it. You don't want to reef on it really hard and pull this all tight. You just want to make a little knot there, and then the next time along you'll lay it on the back and weave it into the other row. So right now I have a little bit of the previous row hanging out back here, so I'll just snip that off. And there I go. So that's how you finish off a row. For January 1st, you're going to want to do a chain row for however many stitches wide you want it to be, and then single crochet back. So your first day will be chain and single crochet. Day 2 will be another row of just single crochets. Day 3 will be another row of single crochets. And then day 4 is where you'll have room to start your pattern with your with your single crochets, and then a triple crochet, and then 10 single crochets and a triple crochet. So the first 3 days are all just single crochets, then start your pattern on day 4.